It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, where I'm trying to keep myself alive and thrive by telling you everything, so I have to take you all out too. Ha, 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 you're in with me. Now, what's happening is it's starting to come out that there's been a big, inside the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department, there are individuals that have been, part of the drug running, people smuggling kind of thing, and it's going to start, we'll see what happens, because I've never been surprised at how much the media has been able to hide a lot of this stuff. I mean, it gets to the point that nothing surprises me anymore. And people get frustrated. They contact me and they say, Ernie, nobody's telling this story. Fine, write it up. Connect all the dots. Pull the stories that, the only time it breaks in New York City, different publications there before it even get reported here. So I go, you guys bring this all together? I have no problem putting it up, but you make sure that you're right. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this information out from what I know and what we've uncovered over the years so that I can put it up and, everybody already knows anyway. So, hey, man, go take out somebody else. Because what they did is there was an investigative reporter, the Arizona Republic, named Don Bowles. And as he accumulated the information, it made him worth killing. He didn't die right away. He lingered on for another 11 days, but it wasn't for lack of effort. You look at the inside of his car, just peeled back like a bloom, just right under his seat, blew the crap out of him. Both legs gone. I mean, it was a rack IED kind of thing. So he lasted long enough that he was able to share with people that came to his rescue what happened, who did it, and go investigate. It was amazing. The investigation went on over a decade. And finally, they get somebody in appeals and turn state's evidence, and this guy and that guy, and somebody got to do time, and this guy, and he got off, and it just outquitted drama. Investigative reporters and editors, IRE.org, they made a name for them, bringing in all these investigative reporters to Arizona to infiltrate the state in politics and crime and make sure that they could write the story. Well, they did. It didn't get published here in Arizona. You had to bring in the Los Angeles Times by the truckload in order for people to read. They read it. They had it read on the AM talk radio. It was back in the day. They would be, just pulling over the side of the road. I remember this was a big deal. My parents were talking about it. I didn't, you got reporters getting blown up. You kind of tend to pay attention. You have, they're talking about it at school. Teachers mentioned something. Okay, I remember when this went on. It wasn't until years later I read the book that I knew why it was such a big deal. But it also emphasized how, the local media is like, heck no, they didn't cover it because they're part of it. All right. So they didn't cover it. L.A. Times going, they're reading it. There's a book done by a gentleman. His name's, it's up here. It doesn't matter. The Arizona Project. He wrote the book. That book was copied in bootleg copies for the 1986 gubernatorial election by a local car dealer, owner of a Pontiac dealership here named Evan Meekum. But in the late 60s and some of the 70s and so on, he was a state legislator also. Very conservative, Mormon community, guy, upstanding individual, and he's all proud of his morality, and he's going to go fix government. There was another gentleman that served at the same time. His name was Sam Steiger. You hear me talk about Steiger's Law. No matter what organization you create around whatever issue, sooner or later the organization becomes more important than the issue you created it for. So it's just any organization always becomes corrupted. That's just the way it works. So I'm all about decentralizing. There is no organization. Steiger and Evan, they served together. Evan was a very moral kind of, no, I want to rule you and tell you how to live and morally and whatever, but he was, in his opinion, incorruptible, and he had a lot of people that supported him because of that. Steiger was one of those kind of, curmudgeon kind of types. Yeah, it's all folksy wisdom, kind of a Perot type, and, his morality was up for grabs. He and I got to know each other well, before he had a stroke and so on. But what happened was he played the game enough that he was sent off and elected as a congressman. You don't get to be a congressman unless you're one of the boys. So that played into a lot of my, awareness. And later on, as I got to know him and the inside stuff in the late 80s, early 90s. During this time that Evan Mecham in the 86 election for governor, keep in mind, the trial's still going on. It's 5, 6, 7 years after this. It's still fresh, and certainly the people that were under threat of going to jail, this stuff was coming out. People around knew they just got to drag it out long enough that they can change the lead, something else, talk about something else. Not, it's just time kind of heals the wounds deal. But Evan got elected. Freaked him out. There was a third-party person came in, pulled votes from the other side. Then they changed the law. We got to have 51% in order to be governor. So in 1990, there was a write-in candidate that ran on a pro-life slate, got only 10,000 votes, and nobody got 50 plus 1%. It was like 49 point and 49 point. And this one guy threw it in the re-election campaign between the now Attorney General. No, he was Attorney General until this last election. Terry Goddard versus Fife Symington. Now, Fife Symington would be resign later after he didn't kiss butt to the federal government, and he's pardoned by Clinton. I mean, nobody's got anything on corruption in Arizona. I mean, damn. But during that 90 election, it went into a runoff, and they go, that was too much money. We shouldn't do that. They changed the law back again. Now it doesn't matter. So they just did it just for Mecham, and then they changed it back because it actually happened and they didn't want to play. But Mecham got elected with less than 50 plus 1%. I think it was in the 30s or 40s or something. So in the 3-year race, he wins, he gets in, and man, they hammered on him. Here comes the press. Every day, it's always something. All the stuff that he was talking about, even the conspiratorial stuff, was true. Everybody knew it to be true. It was just they kept hammering on it. So it became laughing stock. Of course, the way they put it in the country, he didn't want to do the Martin Luther King holiday. We're not paying for another holiday for a federal whatever. And he had communist ties anyway and all this other stuff. So it's a racist thing. And we have a very small black community here anyway. But, we're boycotting. We're not having whatever in Arizona because they're not, with the brothers. All right. So I didn't have an opinion either way back then. It was just, politics. So what happened was they did the book. He distributed 20,000 copies of it, and it really had a big impact in politics. It kept getting copied and distributed, and this thing just would not go away. In 1990-91, right at the tail end of this just starts to go, Rick Romney's county attorney, he had his both his legs blown off in a rocket attack in Vietnam, and he was, a war hero kind of guy, and, no compromise, hard, go kick their butt, a county attorney. And, of course, he walked fine. I didn't even know he had the artificial legs until it came up. What he did is he said, we're going to show just how corrupt the legislature is. So he hired an undercover guy that was some, loosely mob-affiliated, could talk the talk out of Las Vegas, and his name was Joe Stadino. He would go around, and he opened up an office downtown, and they just invite legislators saying they wanted to legalize gambling in a certain way, however they wanted to do it, some bill legislation, and any legislator that wanted to meet with them and be buddies, they had some money for them. Sure enough, they lined up. It was a line around the building. I mean, it was one after another on videotape taking the money. Well, that didn't go over well. This is all linked together and why you're never going to fix the drug war or immigration, and Arizona points as to exactly why and how big the agencies that come here to make sure of it. We're getting there. You stay tuned.